Indonesia's Laki-Laki volcano erupts, spewing ash clouds.
Their local government issues an order to evacuate nearby residents to shelter. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Ilago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. appoints House Deputy Speaker Ralph Recto as the new finance chief. Pag-ibig Fund and PhilHealth are set to raise the mandatory contributions of their members this year. The United States and the United Kingdom fire airstrikes in Houthi-controlled areas in Yemen. Japan launches its Optical 8 spy satellite into orbit. And Kpop boy group 17's Follow concert goes live at the Philippine Sports Stadium tomorrow.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
España,
Paris, France.
United Kingdom,
Washington, D.C.
London Bureau, Papua New Guinea,
In New York,
Washington, D.C.
Mata ng Agila.
Mata ng Agila. Mata ng Agila International.
Trusted, connected, on point.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has named Ralph Recto, former senator and former House Deputy Speaker, as the new head of the Department of Finance. Recto has been sworn in this Friday, officially becoming the 33rd Finance Secretary, succeeding Benjamin Jokno. Speculation arose during the 2023 Apex Summit, where Recto was seen alongside the president's entourage. Recto initially denied rumors until his wife, Vilma Santos, confirmed the appointment. Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiria claimed Recto as a genius with numbers, specifically the ability to discern the grand scheme of things using numerical data. Senators and other officials, including Gatchalian, Angara, and Salceda, also applauded Recto's selection as the new finance secretary. Former Finance Secretary Jokno is slated to return to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas as part of the 7-man monetary board overseeing monetary policy and financial system supervision.
Diesel and kerosene prices are predicted to go up, while gasoline prices are predicted to dip or remain stagnant next week. The Department of Energy Oil Industry Management said motorists should expect to pay 40 centavos to 60 centavos more on diesel per liter and 60 centavos to 70 centavos more on kerosene per liter. Gasoline price per liter will either decrease by 10 centavos or remain unchanged. The agency disclosed that the increase was due to the escalating conflict in the Middle East and the shipping issue in the Red Sea.
The Pag-ibig Fund and PhilHealth are set to raise the mandatory contributions of their members this year. Pag-ibig has proposed to increase the mandatory contributions from 100 pesos to 200 pesos. This would bring over 38 billion peso fund, paving the way for an additional 1 million pesos in housing loans without increasing interest rates. Meanwhile, PhilHealth is pushing for a 5% increase in mandatory contributions for the year. PhilHealth disclosed that this will allow for more health benefits for its members.
It's in the law. It's very clear, the Universal Healthcare Law, kailangan po may increase siya. And this year is the last year wherein it will be increased. It's 0.5%, no? And roughly, it's 100 pesos, again, for the, it's very minimal po. It's, again, with all our plans and accomplishments po, including increasing benefit packages this year, I feel that kailangan po namin sana yon. Yung implementation kasi na-increase usually in the beginning of the year. So we've already done it. We've already started implementing it. However, if we haven't received any directive and instructions from Malacanang, however, if PBBM is going to tell us for this year to freeze the premium increase again, we'll immediately comply.
The Malacanang Palace has yet to approve the set adjustments for the two government-owned and controlled corporations.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. attends the 73rd founding anniversary of the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, at the DSWD compound in Quezon City.
I am very, very happy to be here once again in the DSWD, where heroes walk and work. Heroes and angels walk and work. Well, that is how I view, with great admiration, the working men and women of your agency. To call this place just a central office is an underestimation of the critical work that you do and undervalues the great service that you have done for our people.
This celebration focuses on enhancing disaster response and management with the theme DSWD Angels in Red Vests, Empathy in Action, Integrity in Service, Unity in Community. The inauguration of the Disaster Response Command Center, or DRCC, takes center stage, set to streamline and automate situation reports from regional offices. Operational next month, the DRCC aligns with other national command centers for comprehensive disaster management. The Buong Bansa Handa program is also launched, fortifying the DSWD's ability to aid Filipino families in disaster-affected areas through dual supply mechanisms.
You are the country's social welfare forces, always on red alert. In a country where distress calls from disaster victims and disadvantaged sectors never end. As you put our people out of harm's way and onto the road to recovery and a better life, always serve your clientele with care and compassion as you have been doing.
The Department of Education is set to finish its review on the K-12 curriculum by May this year. Last January 2023, Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte said that the agency will review the K-12 curriculum to produce more job-ready and responsible graduates.
Target date po natin na para matapos yan is May 2024. So after the review, bibigay sa atin, ipresenta sa atin kung ano yung mga napansin nila, and then we will start with the revision process.
As part of the initiative, the DepEd formed a task force to study the K-12 curriculum. The task force included a secretariat that will provide administrative support for the effective implementation of the senior high school program, standards, and support systems. Among the responsibilities of the task force is to revisit the existing policy of the program to ensure consistency, responsiveness, and relevance for the needs of students and stakeholders. The MTF is also tasked to strengthen relationships with the private sector and various industries at the national and regional levels to improve SHS employability.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. disclosed his plan to visit Germany in March to commemorate the 70th anniversary of Philippines-Germany diplomatic relations. The announcement came during his meeting with Germany's Federal Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock in Malacanang Palace. Baerbock's visit to Manila is part of her diplomatic tour across the Middle East and Southeast Asia, making her the first German federal foreign minister to visit the Philippines in over a decade. Discussions with the German embassy began last year to facilitate the necessary arrangements for the visit. This visit is also set to be the first official European trip by a Philippine leader since September 2014, when then-President Benigno Aquino III visited the continent.
Canada is set to invest around 627 million pesos in the Philippines, focusing on climate adaptation and healthcare accessibility under its Indo-Pacific strategy. The funding approved for initiation in 2024 includes about 334 million pesos for a 5-year project supporting nature-based solutions like reforestation and coastal wetlands restoration. This project aims to enhance the resilience of vulnerable communities in 6 key biodiversity regions. Meanwhile, around 292 million pesos will be allocated over 6 years to bolster the implementation of the Universal Health Care Act with a focus on strengthening local government capacity. This project will also target 4 disaster-prone, isolated provinces with vulnerable populations, including indigenous people.
Indonesian President Joko Widodo has expressed his commitment to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to re-examine the case of the Filipino migrant worker Mary Jane Veloso. The Presidential Communications Office confirmed Widodo's commitment, citing it was declared during his meeting with President Marcos at the Malacanang Palace. In 2010, Veloso was arrested after Indonesian authorities seized 2.6 kilograms of heroin in her suitcase. In 2015, Veloso was given a last-minute reprieve when the Philippine government informed that her recruiters had surrendered. Coming up, Taiwan is preparing to elect a new president and legislator this Saturday. The United States and Britain have launched military strikes against Houthi rebels. And the World Economic Forum discusses potential preparations for a hypothetical disease far deadlier than COVID-19. Stay tuned, Mata ng Agila International will return for more global news.
This portion is brought to you by 318 Automart.
Kalmahan mo lang, ha? Baka mamaya maglulupasay ka pa. Tara, pag-usapan natin.
Yan si Irish Liberica, ang panganay na anak ni Don Julio Liberica.
Ilayo niyo sa akin to. Ilayo niyo.
Hindi na yun nakapag-asawa. Ayan naman si Chino Liberica, ang bunsong anak, kung ano-anong racket ang pinasok.
Talagang gipit na gipit lang ako eh. Kakabugbugin ako nung pinagkakautangan ko eh.
Ayan naman si Mac Liberica, panganay sa pangalawang asawa ni Don Julio.
Itigil ang libeng! Itigil!
Hindi.
Itigil!
Hindi.
Let's get together. Sunday 25. Sunday 25.
This portion is brought to you by Robic Builders.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister has declared a 14-day state of emergency in the capital after 15 people died in riots. Crowds looted and burned shops in the unrest Wednesday. Cortalesa Quinola tells us more.
Violence erupted in Port Moresby on Wednesday evening after a group of soldiers, police officers, and prison guards launched protests over unexplained deductions to their pay. Within hours, the unrest had also spread to the city of Leh, about 300 kilometers to the north of the capital. After announcing the state of emergency, Prime Minister James Marape says the government is prepared to put down any further unrest.
We have over 1,000 men from Defense Force ready on standby to come in and work under state of emergency laws within the next 14 days to step in wherever necessary to contain any situations that may arise going forward into the future.
As well as the 15 dead, Port Moresby's largest hospital treated 25 people for gunshot wounds and 6 others with knife lacerations. Looters in the capital dashed into stores through smashed windows, stuffing stolen goods into cardboard boxes, shopping trolleys, and plastic buckets. One man was seen lugging an entire chest freezer away on his shoulders. Rioters set buildings and cars on fire. Thick plumes of black smoke hung over the worst-hit part of the city. Beijing has lodged a complaint with Papua New Guinea's government following reports that rioters targeted Chinese-owned businesses.
From Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Cortalesa Quinola, Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Taiwan's presidential candidates are set to make their final campaign appeals to voters ahead of the following day's election. Key issues in the quadrennial race include ties with China. Lai Ching-te is the ruling Democratic Progressive Party's candidate. Hu Yu-yi is representing the biggest opposition Kuomintang Party, and Ko Wen-je is running as the candidate of the second largest opposition Taiwan People's Party. The DPP's Lai, whom China has accused of being a pro-independence advocate, is believed to be leading the other contenders. But most analysts predict that his party will see its podium placement hampered in the legislative election that will take place on Saturday. Lai says that even if he wins the presidential election, Taiwan will not be able to move forward if his party falls short of a majority of legislative seats. The Kuomintang's Hu is striving to win his party's first presidency in 8 years. He says war is approaching because of the DPP's policy. Hu stresses that he will deter China by reinforcing defense capabilities while expanding dialogue and exchanges with Beijing to cut the risk of clashes. The TPP's Ko pledges to raise defense expenditures to 3% of gross domestic product while promoting cultural and economic exchanges with China.
Presidential candidate Ko Wen-je
不管对中国或对美国，有一个很重要的基本原则 ，no surprise。所以充分的沟通非常重要。不管谁当选，台湾跟美国的关系不会改变，但是新政府跟中国的应对态度应该会有不同。
and offer deeper perspectives on the party's vision.
Votes critical of the DPP are believed to be split between the two opposition parties. Hu is urging Ko supporters and others to vote for him to realize a change of government. Ko, meanwhile, is calling on voters to bring down both the DPP and the Kuomintang. On the final stretch, Lai and Hu are scheduled to address rallies in New Taipei City, which has the largest number of eligible voters of the 6 special municipalities. Ko will attend a rally in front of the presidential office building in Taipei.
Members of the press, if you're on the
China has expressed its willingness to collaborate with ASEAN to achieve the target for finalizing a Code of Conduct, or COC, in the South China Sea.
目前，中国已经就共建命运共同体同东盟6个国家分别达成了重要共识，也期待将来与更多的国家达成共识。
This announcement brings optimism to the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Brunei, and other ASEAN members addressing long-standing tensions in the contested region. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning conveyed this commitment, echoing Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi's readiness to work on concluding the crucial sea conduct. Mao Ning revealed that the second reading of the COC draft has been completed and the third reading is underway.
Seoul claims that North Korea is using Ukraine as a test site for nuclear-capable missiles. South Korea raised the issue during the United Nations Security Council, or UNSC, meeting this week. South Korean ambassador to the UN, Hwang Jun-kook, says that by exporting missiles to Russia, Pyongyang is disregarding the safety of Ukraine. He avers that any purchase of arms from Pyongyang contravenes multiple UNSC resolutions that Russia itself voted in favor of. Hwang urged Russia to stop its military partnership with North Korea. Some more experts identify the missiles fired in Ukraine as the KN-23, a solid-fuel short-range ballistic missile claimed by North Korea to be capable of delivering nuclear warheads. The KN-23 missile is specifically designed to target South Korean territory. Hwang believes that the Pyongyang missiles used in Ukraine pose new challenges that require joint response from the international community. The United States, Japan, and their allies supported South Korea's statement, saying that Russia should end its illegal war in Ukraine.
The Iranian Army's press office has confirmed it seized an American oil tanker close to the Oman city of Sohar. RT's Yusuf Jalali reports.
This oil tanker, renamed the St. Nicholas, is carrying oil in the Sea of Oman. It was seized by court order this morning and approved by the Ports and Shipping Organization of the Strategic Navy of the Islamic Republic of Iran. in retaliation for the oil tanker seized by the American regime and is currently being transferred to Islamic Republic ports for delivery to the judicial authorities.
This ship was carrying Iraqi oil in the port city of Basra and was bound for Ali Agha port in western Turkey when it was attacked and seized by unknown, quote, unknown armed men. The impounded oil tanker was once known as the Suez Rajan and was previously involved in a year-long dispute over the shipment of Iranian crude oil. The United States Department of Justice finally ordered the seizure and unloading of 1 million barrels of Iranian crude oil contained in this vessel. And this cargo was transferred to another oil tanker off the coast of Texas located in the Gulf of Mexico. We did ask the Iranian Foreign Ministry for an interview, but they refused to comment. However, Iran's national television has confirmed the confiscation. Iran's Navy said that the tanker was seized by the country's naval forces following a court order and upon the approval of the Ports and Shipping Organization in retaliation to, quote, theft of oil by the American government. The Navy said that the seized vessel is now being transferred to the ports of the Islamic Republic of Iran for delivery to judicial authorities. Of course, we will update you about more details as soon as we get more information from the Iranian authorities.
U.S. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says the Iranian government should immediately release the ship and its crew. This after an oil tanker was seized off Oman's coast. Crisan Fragata has more.
On Thursday, the United States demanded that Iran immediately release a ship seized off Oman's coast in avowed retaliation for U.S. actions. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby urges that these attacks have to end.
The Iranians' apparent seizure of a merchant vessel called the St. Nicholas, a Marshall Islands flagged and Greek-owned oil tanker. While it was lawfully navigating waters in the Gulf of Oman, we condemn this apparent seizure. The Iranian government should immediately release the ship and its crew. These provocative and unacceptable actions need to stop. We'll continue to work with our allies and partners to deter and confront the full range of Iran's concerning and destabilizing behavior in close coordination, of course, with the international community.
Kirby says the U.S. takes seriously the responsibility to protect its ships, its sailors at sea, and the responsibility to protect the flow of international commerce. Kirby says some 20-plus nations are now involved in Operation Prosperity Guardian. It is a U.S.-led military operation by a multinational coalition formed in December 2023 to respond to Houthi-led attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. Meanwhile, U.S. National Economic Advisor Lael Brainerd says Houthis' Red Sea attacks on commercial ships so far have not had an effect on the U.S. economy. Crisan Fragata from Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
The Government of Canada remembers victims of Flight PS752, setting January 8 as National Day of Remembrance for victims of air disasters. Yolanda Aspiras has that story.
4 years ago, 55 Canadians and 30 permanent residents were killed in the downing of the Flight PS752. Federal, provincial, local officials and mourners came together Tuesday to remember and pay tribute to the victims of this tragedy. All 176 passengers aboard this flight were killed. Iranian officials shut down the aircraft by 2 surface-to-air missiles fired by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The remembrance ceremony was held in Richmond Hill, Ontario, during which the names of all the victims were read out and a moment of silence was held. Those in attendance included Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Minister of Foreign Affairs Melanie Joly, Ukraine Ambassador to Canada Yulia Kovalev, amongst others. Prime Minister Trudeau has reiterated that Canada continues to work with Sweden, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom in holding Iran accountable for this tragedy with the International Court of Justice. In memory of those killed on Flight PS52, January 9th has been regarded as the National Day of Remembrance for victims of air disasters. In Toronto, Ontario, Yolanda Aspiras from Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The United Nations Security Council has passed the resolution concerning Yemen's Houthi rebel attacks in the Red Sea. Russia, however, raised questions about its legitimacy before international law. RT's Caleb Maupin has the details.
We are concerned that the US and its allies prefer to pursue a unilateral solution to the problem using force, as they have chosen so often to do in the past. They have assembled a so-called international coalition to provide security, which tellingly consists of mainly US vessels. However, the legitimacy of these actions raise serious questions from the point of view of international law. We must be under no illusions about the true objective of this resolution. This is not a matter of ensuring safety of navigation in the Red Sea, but an attempt to legitimize the actions of this coalition retroactively and obtain the indefinite blessing of the United Nations Security Council.
So in the Red Sea, we have Ansarullah, or the Houthi organization, that have been stopping ships in the Red Sea that they deem to be trading with Israel, connected to Israel in some way, or connected with countries that are aligned with Israel. They've essentially set up a picket line in the Red Sea, and they are saying that until the bombardment of Gaza stops, they will continue to stop ships. So in response to that, we have the UN Security Council meeting where the United States put forward a resolution. And this resolution, which was co-sponsored by Japan, basically affirmed that it was justified to protect maritime shipping routes. Now, the resolution put forward had 3 amendments to it proposed by Russia, one of which objected to some of the language of the resolution. Russia wanted the resolution to just stick up for international law. However, the resolution itself specified that member states have the right to protect their ships and protect their rights, etc. In addition to that, Russia wanted it to be in the resolution to acknowledge that the reason for the Houthis' action is the ongoing bombardment of Gaza.
We regret that despite repeated demands by a number of delegations, including representatives of the Arab world, the document fails to mention the real root cause of instability in the Red Sea, namely the plight of Gaza. The approach by the authors of the document grossly distorts the chain of cause and effect and makes the document distinctly politicized and unbalanced.
The U.S. and the UK vetoed all 3 of Russia's proposed amendments. And then when the resolution was voted on, Russia made a point of abstaining and did not vote for the resolution. Now, it's important to note Russia was not alone in what they had to say before the Council. China and Algeria also expressed and echoed Russia's concern. At this point, we have over 23,000 Palestinians who've been killed. That is the reason that Ansarullah, the Houthis, are stopping these ships, but yet there was no mention of that in the resolution. The United States simply ignored the cause of this naval blockade. We had the U.S. representative claiming that it had nothing to do with Gaza. This was, quote, all about power on the part of the Houthi organization. That was the U.S. claim. Well, China was quite frustrated with the UN Security Council for not taking action and moving ahead to bring about a ceasefire in Gaza. Here's what we heard from the Chinese representative.
It must be noted that the current tensions in the Red Sea are one of the manifestations of a spillover effect of the conflict in Gaza. It is a fact that cannot be ignored. China has repeatedly stressed the urgency of achieving an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. It is the overriding prerequisite for everything else and top priority for international diplomatic efforts. We regret that the resolution just adopted by the Council fails to explicitly call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
Now, the United States and the United Kingdom have announced that they repelled a major bombardment at the hands of the Houthi forces. According to reports, this is the biggest attack that the Houthi army has ever carried out. And they say it is just a fraction of what they are capable of if the conflict in the Red Sea is to escalate. Regardless, 12 countries signed on to a statement at the behest of the United States saying that if there is indeed further bloodshed in the Red Sea, that it is the Houthis who are responsible for it, and that there will be consequences for their continued actions blocking ships.
The United Kingdom and the United States have jointly conducted air and missile strikes in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen to prevent attacks on ships in the Red Sea. This operation involved forces from the U.S., the U.K., Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, targeting around a dozen sites in Yemen. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak stated that the attacks on the Houthi militant group were deemed necessary and proportionate. U.S. President Joe Biden confirmed that the strikes were a direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks on international maritime vessels in the Red Sea. He further expressed readiness to authorize additional attacks if Houthi assaults on shipping persist. In response to the strikes, Houthi forces claimed immediate retaliation against Western warships.
إن العدو الأمريكي والبريطاني يتحمل كامل المسؤولية عن عدوانه الإجرامي بحق شعبنا اليمني ولن يمر دون عقاب ولن يمر دون رد ودون عقاب.
2024's Human Rights Watch's annual report says that the system utilized to protect human rights around the world is under threat. Percy Parlada reports.
A Human Rights Watch report says the past 12 months marked a formidable year for suppression of human rights. This, the report says, with world leaders ignoring violations in Sudan and Gaza and against marginalized groups like the Uyghurs. In its world report for 2024, Human Rights Watch singles out tremendous suffering caused by the Israel-Hamas war and the conflicts in Ukraine, Myanmar, Ethiopia, and the Sahel region of Africa. It also points to damage done by climate change and economic inequality. The New York-based rights watchdog's chief, Terana Hassan, says the international system that we rely on to protect human rights is under threat as world leaders look the other way when universal principles of human rights are violated.
Human rights and the rule of law in diplomacy squanders opportunities to influence the practices and policies of rights-violating governments. And it also risks emboldening these repressive governments to export their abuses. And we saw this in 2023.
Percival Parlade for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The World Health Organization issued fresh warnings about an unknown disease X, saying the new virus is 20 times deadlier than COVID-19. Former chairperson of the United Kingdom's Vaccine Task Force, Kate Bingham, warns that disease X can cause deaths of around 15 million people and more globally. She believes that the world will be experiencing more viral outbreaks in the future due to migration, overpopulation, and habitat destruction. She stressed scientific findings that around 3/4 of emerging infectious diseases originate in animals and then leap from species to species until such diseases infect human beings. Cutting down forest trees contributes to climate change, which, according to Bingham, assists the growth of viruses and how they can jump from species to species. Bingham says that to fight virus outbreaks, including disease X, which can lead to pandemics, scientists need to develop a collection of different prototype vaccines for every threatening virus family.
Hong Kongers are showing a keen interest in the membership megastores offering bulk buying over the border in Shenzhen. Catherine Ortula has the numbers.
The opening of Costco Wholesales' new store in Shenzhen's Longhua district comes as bargain hunters from Hong Kong continue to go north for shopping deals and cheap meals, putting fresh strain on the city's businesses. Travel tours with a new emphasis on shopping proved popular with young city residents as operators add more specialist trips to their itineraries. Tour operators say numbers joining mainland trips have surged in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. Google Trends showed that the surge popularity among Hong Kongers for Sam's Club, a U.S. warehouse retailer that opened its first mainland outlet in Shenzhen more than 27 years ago, began to surge 2 months ago and peaked over the New Year's Eve weekend. An outlet in Shanghai became its fourth store in Shenzhen over the summer. The buzz over Costco has gathered pace recently, driven by media coverage of a preview event with a surge interest in the new store surpassing Sam's Club on Friday among Google users in the city. The warehouse chain gained further publicity after it teamed up with WeChat Pay to give away coupons to Hong Kong users, and as group tours were launched to the new store. Costco has been looking at options to open a store in Hong Kong. However, Prudence Jiang, general manager of the retail giant's mainland China division, said Costco would not be able to replicate its mainland success south of the border, where real estate and logistics costs were much higher. A new Costco store could generate long-term economic benefits for an otherwise remote location in countries such as Japan, but the scarcity of land in Hong Kong meant it would likely be prioritized for policy priorities such as expansion of the technology sector. City retailers could now only pin their hopes of recovery on eased restrictions on travel permits for Guangdong residents headed to Hong Kong. Catherine Artula from Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Up next, volcanic activity in Indonesia continues. The USDA seeks to feed 21 million kids this summer. And Sony unveils an electric car that can be driven with a video game controller. Mata ng Agila International will be back after a short break. Don't go away.
This portion is brought to you by North Luzon Express Terminal.
From a cloud kitchen, whipping up family heirloom recipes to a thriving business in a short time, Ilios Group Incorporated has evolved into a culinary sensation. Guided by its philosophy, dine at home, its party trays during the lockdown satisfied many palates and transformed dining tables in celebrating life despite the uncertainties.
Whatever you do, whether that be a financial decision, an operational decision, it always has to hinge on your core to bring value to other people and bring good intentions.
Open for business with Cesar Vallejos, Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sunday 25.
Mga ka-Net 25, nakapag-New Year, New Me na ba ang lahat? Sa panibagong yugto ng ating buhay, patuloy ang Net 25 sa pagbabahagi ng kasiyahan, kaaliwan, tawanan, at mahalagang impormasyon sa inyo. Let's net together in 2024. Maligayang bagong taon mula sa Net 25.
Indonesia's Lewatobi Laki-Laki volcano has erupted, spewing ash clouds as authorities raise the alert status to the highest level. Local government has issued an order to evacuate nearby residents to shelters. Meanwhile, local authorities have secured 2 temporary shelters. Indonesia's Volcanology and Geological Mitigation Center advised locals to be vigilant on potential flooding as volcanic mud flows pour into rivers. The public is also urged to wear face masks to prevent the dangers of volcanic ash to one's respiratory system. Indonesia sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, an area that experiences intense volcanic and seismic activities with nearly 130 volcanoes.
No injuries have been reported after an electric-powered double-decker bus caught fire in London, England. Elise Daniel has the details.
The blaze broke out about 7:30 a.m. Thursday. Police say the bus was quickly evacuated. A witness told local media he heard a big bang before the fire. Other witnesses described fumes from the blaze as awful. Flames could be seen coming from the bus and smoke filled the street. 3 fire trucks and 15 firefighters along with ambulances and a hazardous response team arrived at the scene. Police closed roads in the area while firefighters put out the flames. An investigation is underway. The bus had been manufactured by Switch Mobility. Elisa Nya for Tanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
A wealthy Austro-German heiress named Marlene Engelhorn has announced her plan to give away 25 million euros or $40 million from her inherited fortune to the public. The 31-year-old millionaire is a descendant of Friedrich Engelhorn, founder of the German chemical and pharmaceutical company BASF. Ms. Engelhorn's plan to give away about 90% of her inheritance comes even before the death of her grandmother, Trottel Engelhorn Vecchiato, in September 22. This plan is due to her belief of the unfair abolishment of inheritance tax in Austria in 2008, making it one of the very few European countries that do not impose such tax or death duties. Her initiative, known as the Good Council for Redistribution, will boil down to 50 chosen participants from the 10,000 random invitations distributed all over Austria's letterboxes. The chosen group will then attend a series of meetings in Salzburg from March to June this year, allowing them to contribute their ideas in order to jointly develop solutions in the interests of society as a whole. Engelhorn says that the all-expense-paid trip will spark discussions that will be a service to democracy, also stating that, and I quote, "I see this as a failure of politics, and if politics fails, then the citizens have to deal with it themselves."
Meanwhile, thousands of people jammed the central square in Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia, to protest criminal code reforms. Protesters say the plans take away freedom and justice. A crowd of almost 20,000 people rallied and voiced their opposition to the changes. Some of the key changes include elimination of the Special Prosecutor's Office, which handles serious crimes like organized crime, graft, and extremism. As well, whistleblower protection for police officers would be eliminated. Penalties for corruption and economic offenses would become less severe. The changes have been proposed by the new populist government of Roberto Fico. Fico returned to power for a 4th term after his scandal-ridden government won a parliamentary election in September. Critics fear he will abandon Slovakia's pro-Western course and adopt a more authoritarian regime.
Thousands of students took to the streets in Athens to protest plans by the Greek government to allow private universities. Students say that will degrade education. The students say they want good, modern, public, and free universities. And they say if the government passes a law allowing private institutions, that will lead to a deterioration of their studies. They also fear it will open the way for public universities to charge undergraduate tuition fees. They also say access to higher education will be determined by a family's wealth. There are concerns that if private schools are allowed, public institutions will merge and government spending on public education will be reduced. Other than Athens, students held protests in several other Greek cities as well. Greece is one of the few countries in the world that does not have private universities. $21 million eligible children in 35 states, all 5 territories, and 4 tribes in the United States will be receiving summer grocery benefits this year. Rosel Feria reports.
2024's Summer Electronic Benefit Transfer Program is anticipated to serve close to 21 million children here in the United States. This means a total of nearly $2.5 billion in grocery benefits for eligible children during the summer when they are not benefiting from food served in schools. This year, states, Territories and tribes will provide families with $120 per eligible child for the summer to buy food at grocery stores, farmer markets, or other authorized retailers. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack says the program helped make progress in closing the summer hunger gap and ensuring children are nourished and healthy year-round. Reports show that providing summer EBT reduced child hunger and improved diet quality. In the past, summer grocery benefits decreased the number of kids with very low food security by about 1/3. It also supported healthier diets, featuring more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. The USDA encourages families to participate in all summer nutrition programs available to them. Summer meal sites provide free meals to families across the country. Many rural communities now offer to-go or home-delivered summer meals to increase access to this vital nutrition support. According to the USDA, 1 in every 5 children is unsure where they will get their next meal. It says 13 million U.S. children experience food insecurity annually. In Washington, D.C., Rosel Feria for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Sony's unveiling of a prototype car named Agila that can be driven using a PS5 controller has generated significant attention on social media. The demonstration took place at the annual Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, organized by the Consumer Technology Association. During the presentation, Sony Honda Mobility Incorporated President and COO Izumi Kawanishi used a PS5 controller to bring the car onto the stage, showcasing the integration of gaming technology into real-world mobility. The glossy gray car smoothly glided onto the stage with no one in the driver's seat, capturing the audience's attention. However, Sony clarified that the demonstration of the car being driven by a PS5 controller is currently for a tech showcase only. Kawanishi expressed the company's vision to revolutionize how people move, making mobility interactive and expressive, emphasizing safety as a top priority. The Agila prototype aims to redefine the relationship between people and mobility, incorporating artificial intelligence to enhance advanced driver assistance systems. Meanwhile, Japan has successfully launched its spy satellite dubbed Optical 8. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries confirmed the launch as its H-2A rocket carried the Japanese government's information-gathering satellite. This marked Japan's 48th launch since 2001. The Japan Aerospace and Exploration Agency, or JAXA, disclosed that it yielded a 97.92% success rate on its developed rockets. This year, Japan intended to retire the H-2A rocket after 2 more launches. An H-3 version of the rocket is on a test phase. JAXA, however, struggled to the transition on its H-3 rocket after its first test launch failed in March of 2023. The second test launch for the H-3 is slated for February 15 this year.
Coming right up, what does Queen Margaret II's abdication mean for King Charles? South Korea has announced the creation of a Hallyu visa made for Kpop fans. And Filipino Carrots can't wait as 17 takes over the Philippine Sports Stadium tomorrow. Catch more news in sports and entertainment when we return.
Exclusive! Panibagong biktima ng online scam, lumantad. Modus ng scammer, isiniwalat.
Gusto ko lang magkaroon na siya ng justice or ma-stop na yung yung ganun pag-scam nila. At least para yung ibang tao hindi na rin nila mabiktima. Kasi alam ko marami pa rin sila nabibiktima hanggang ngayon.
Expose. Aktual na pagbubukas ng package ng ilang tauhan ng isang kilalang delivery service app na booking. Isa pang exclusive. Panibagong kaso ng medical malpractice, lumantad.
Gusto ko i-expose yung kapabayaan nila.
Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Ito ang Responde. Mata ng mamamayan.
Let's get together. Sunnet 25. Sunnet 25.
The Danish Queen's abdication sparked talk of Britain's King Charles stepping down early amid scrutiny over royal scandals and debates on future leadership. From Europe, Ariane Celestino reports.
The abdication of Danish Queen Margaret II has sparked discussions about the possible early resignation of Britain's King Charles III. At 75 and having ascended to the throne in 2022, Charles faces questions about the duration of his reign, especially considering his role as the oldest heir apparent in British history. Royal biographer Phil Dampier suggests that events in Denmark may influence King Charles's decision, with some speculating that the more popular Prince William could be a potential successor. Despite Charles's interest in advancing his environmental agenda, ongoing royal scandals such as Prince Andrew's association with Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Harry's criticisms have added scrutiny to his reign. While a Savanta poll in January indicated a slight decrease in support for the monarchy in the UK. A YouGov poll in September showed that 55% of Britons had a positive opinion of King Charles III. Calls for Charles to set a definitive endpoint for his reign persist, recognizing the changing dynamics within the royal family. Reporting from London, United Kingdom, this is Ariane Celestino for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Annyeonghaseyo, K-pop fans! South Korea has announced that it is planning to launch a special visa for supporters of the country's culture. The travel document, dubbed as the Hallyu Visa or the K-Culture Training Visa, will allow foreigners to stay in South Korea for up to 2 years. But K-pop fans with these special visas must register at local performing arts academies. This project, according to South Korea's Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, aims to support young artists and strengthen the capability of college students majoring in arts. Based on data gathered by the said ministry, K-pop is said to be the most cited reason for visiting Seoul. South Korea has yet to give details on how to apply for the K-Culture visa and the requirements that would be needed for it. A media report said Seoul will unveil its plans by the second half of 2024. NBA basketball games are played first in the front office before settling on the court. In terms of roster management and trade value, there's no one better than Dallas and Phoenix when it comes to getting the most out of their high-value trade acquisitions. Vin Pasqua has the score.
Get away with not boxing out. Kyrie Irving lets it fly to start the game, and the Mavs are on the board.
Kyrie Irving scored a season-high 44 points, and Tim Hardaway Jr. tied his season-high with 32 as the Dallas Mavericks withstood a fourth-quarter rally to beat the visiting New York Knicks 128-124. The Mavericks played without star Luka Doncic, who sat out with a right ankle sprain, whose absence was most certainly felt towards certain stretches of the game. Julius Randle scored 32 points for New York, which had its 5-game winning streak come to an end. Jalen Brunson scored 30 points against his former team. DiVincenzo added 19 points and OG Anunoby had 10. Isaiah Hartenstein recorded a game-high 15 rebounds. New York rallied from a 21-point third-quarter deficit and pulled within 121-120 with 1 minute and 8 seconds remaining in the game after Dante DiVincenzo's three-pointer capped a 27-8 run. After Josh Green hit a three-pointer on Dallas' next possession, the Mavericks sealed the win at the free-throw line. While on the other side of the league,
ball rotation, Beal triple. How about the ball?
Bradley Beal scored a season-high 37 points. Devin Booker added 31 as the visiting Phoenix Suns used a fast start to earn a 127-109 blowout over the Los Angeles Lakers. Kevin Durant scored 18 points and Yusuf Nurkic added 9 points and 12 rebounds as the Suns defeated the Lakers for the first time in 4 tries this season. Beal went 8 of 10 from three-point range, 14 of 21 overall, and scored 26 points in the second half as the Suns won for the 6th time in their last 9 games. D'Angelo Russell scored 19 points and Max Christie added 14 for the Lakers, while Anthony Davis and LeBron James were held to 13 and 10 points respectively. The Lakers have now lost for a 5th time in their last 7 games. The Suns meant business early, scoring the first 6 points of the game and taking a 24-14 lead just over 6 minutes into the contest. Phoenix led 36-25 after 1 quarter and was up 66-52 at halftime as Booker entered the break 9 of 16 from the floor with 23 points. The Suns allowed the Lakers to shoot 50%, 1 game after the Clippers shot 62.4% against Phoenix in a 138-111 defeat.
Got it. And Bradley, a long time. Washington got it.
Why not?
Fly.
Why not?
Will drive. Christie will defend in the corner. Beal 3. Good.
Reporting for sports, Vin Pascua for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
British musician formerly known as Twigs defender Calvin Klein ad campaign after being banned for accusations of being a stereotypical sexual object. United Kingdom's Advertising Standards Authority, or ASA, imposes the ban after receiving 2 complaints about the Calvin Klein ad, determining that only FKA Twigs' photograph was inappropriate. ASA ordered Calvin Klein to ensure that future ads would not irresponsibly objectify women and should be targeted appropriately. The fashion house responded to ASA's initial investigation, saying that the advert is similar to previous Calvin Klein campaigns, which they had published in the UK for many years. Meanwhile, singer FKA Twigs took to Instagram, posting the photo with a response to the poster being taken down. She captioned her post saying, "I do not see the stereotypical sexual object that they have labeled me." She also notes, and I quote, "In reviewing other campaigns, past and current of this nature, I can't help but feel that there are some double standards here." The 2 complaints also involved a pair of ad posters featuring model Kendall Jenner, but ASA argues that they were not overly sexualized and was only characteristic of lingerie advertising. Tonight, the 28th Asian Television Awards honor outstanding TV professionals and programs across the continent. 37 awards will be presented, spanning categories such as news, documentaries, sports, and animation. In particular, Net25's very own Mata ng Agila Primetime is nominated for the Best News Program. For Best Talk Show, Corina Interviews is also nominated. Meanwhile, one of the nominees for the Best Talk Show Host Award is Kada Umaga's Pia Guanyo Mago. More prestigious awards are waiting to be revealed tonight.
One night left and the Philippine Sports Stadium will come alive with the radiant energy of thousands of fans, eagerly anticipating the two-night concert of the award-winning Kpop boy group 17 as part of their follow tour. Fans of the said group, known as Carrots, will once again witness Joshua, Jun, Hoshi, Wonwoo, Woozi, DK, Mingyu, The Eight, Seungkwan, Vernon, and Dino. Despite the absence of the group's leader Scoops and fellow member Jung Han due to injuries, fellow Carrots continue to offer unwavering support to the entire group. Fans await the world-class performances of the K-pop powerhouse, featuring their chart-topping hits like Super, Don't Wanna Cry, Hot, Gum, and Aju Nice. Adding to the group's recent triumphs, 17 bagged home prestigious awards, including the grand prize Album of the Year at the Asian Artist Awards on December 14th last year, held at the world's largest indoor arena, the Philippine Arena. 17 also mesmerized fans and audience at the Philippine Arena last December 17, 2022, as part of their Be the Sun tour. The Philippine Sports Stadium is now set for an unprecedented event, the very first stadium concert for Filipino Carrots alongside 17. Brace yourself as history is about to be made with the group's much-anticipated performance at the largest football stadium in the Philippines. Don't miss this historic concert as 17 takes center stage at the Philippine Sports Stadium. Limited standing tickets are still available at SM ticket outlets and website.
And we are wrapping up the work week with this quote from activist and rap icon Tupac Shakur. We wouldn't ask a rose or ask why a rose that grew from the concrete for having damaged petals. In turn, we would all celebrate its tenacity. We would all love its will to reach the sun.
I interpret that as embracing our failures. If someone closes a door on you, we love it even more if you have that redemption story.
And we owe it to ourselves to celebrate if we emerge successful after all of our struggles and difficulties.
So don't give up. And that's something you can think about this weekend. That's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Alago Flores, wishing everyone a great weekend. This is Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point. Thank you for choosing Mata ng Agila International as your trusted news source, keeping you connected to the world and on point with stories from around the globe. Follow, like, and subscribe to @Net25 TV.